his Boreme under the weather, but the show must go on. You guys are more important than me. Well, here today to give you the latest updates on the World Cup, Wimbledon, transfers, everything you can think of. And I forgot to also say that the D Tigers did very well last weekend, and they tortured their opposition and went 3-0 in terms of qualifying for the FIBA World Cup. Doing quite well there. The Tigers, the Regbu brothers, are leading the charge. All right. So for the World Cup quarterfinals, which commences tonight, France versus the Atlas Lions of Morocco, we'll have 9 players who are on the brink of, suspension from the semi-final if their teams make it. 3 from England, not surprising. Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, 3 very, very important players. But if they do not afford to be disciplined, to keep a clear head and to keep their heads down, they are going to be disqualified if they get past Norway. The semi-final is not going to feature any of them if they accumulate another yellow card in the next match against Norway. All right, so that's for England. For France, Michael Olise is at risk of being suspended if France get past Morocco. For Morocco, Achraf Hakimi, who is one of the most important players, if not the most important player, is also at risk. Also, Issa Diop, remember Issa Diop scored that important equalizer against the Netherlands. We took that match to extra time, and Morocco eventually prevailing, right? So for Argentina, who controversially defeated Egypt in the round of 16, Gonzalo Montiel, who gave Messi that assist, is going to be that assisted against Cape Verde, of course, is going to be suspended if he gets a yellow card in that quarterfinal, in Argentina's quarterfinal match against Switzerland. So that's that for these guys. For Switzerland, of course, Granit Xhaka and Antonio Nusa have to avoid a yellow card if they are going to play a semi-final after defeating Argentina, if that's possible. Of course, we know that FIFA, they've been extremely corrupt over the years. They've had their president labeled, not just labeled corrupt, charged with corruption charges. Former president Joseph Sepp Blatter, who was long-standing, who replaced the great Havelange at some point in the FIFA thing. All right, so so many corruption charges have bedeviled FIFA. Most of them, they have been culpable, whether the association or the executive. Remember Michael Zerufen for UEFA. Remember Michel Platini. So many issues regarding corruption. And it's quite obvious that they want these big teams to remain in the tournament no matter what. So anything can give at a point where Portugal and the United States of America were eliminated, and that has led to 60% reduction in ticket sales. So they'll do everything possible for these big guys to remain in the tournament. In the round of 16, of course, we previewed Argentina, Egypt, and Switzerland, Colombia. Egypt led that game 2-0. It could have been 3-0. The goal scored by Mustafa Ziko after that beautiful assist from Mohamed Salah was chalked off, and it was extremely controversial because Argentina's equalizer also had something similar. And going back, VAR expected to do better than human decisions. Actually done worse, made football completely worse. Well, I've been a sports journalist for almost 2 decades. So for almost 2 decades, I know what I am talking about. So this is not about being a fanboy or a supporter or being critical of a player because you like another. It is just clear. And a lot of ex-players like Thierry Henry, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, these are Messi lovers. They had something to say about that game. It was clear. Hossein Hassan, Egypt's highest goal scorer ever, and of course the coach of the Pharaohs, was also highly critical of the decisions made by the referees in the entire match. And they have gone worse. FIFA has gone actually one worse by naming an all-Argentine officiating team for the game today between France and Morocco, knowing fully well that France and Argentina played the final of the 2022 World Cup. So right now they are direct rivals, and it is VAR. The guy in charge of VAR is also Argentine, so it's an all Argentine lineup for the match between France and Morocco. So all these issues have come up, and rightly so. Whatever it is, people have to question some of these decisions. They don't go down well with people, and people have to say, well, everywhere, all stakeholders, whether you like it or not, the journalists, the fans, the players, the coaches, the officials, the governing body, whoever is responsible for football in some way. If we do not do our own bit, I do not think the full circle is going to be complete. So that's the point. That's the situation right now in the Argentina. But Argentina qualified, and they are going to be facing off against Switzerland, who barely escaped Colombia, because the last shot on goal they had in that match was in the 32nd minute, and afterwards it was all Colombia. So I think Switzerland barely made it to the quarterfinals, but it is what it is. They are in the quarterfinals. Whatever happened, Colombia, they didn't take their chances, and the likes of James Rodriguez are back in Colombia as we speak. So, well, that's the World Cup, and football, just like every other game, so it's of fine margins. You either take your chances or you get booted out. So that's football for you. So yeah, the quarterfinals kickstart today. France versus Morocco. We've said it before that Michael Olise is at risk of getting suspended if he gets a yellow card today. And for Morocco, Issa Diop, pivotal in defense, Achraf Hakimi, captain, and one of the best players in the side, if not the best, of course, is also at risk. So these are three very important players who are at risk. Michael Olise, 5 assists, didn't do quite well against Paraguay. Of course, we know what the Albiroja their game plan, their strategy. People called it anti-football, but it is how they wanted to approach the game. They know that talent-wise and in terms of the balance of play, France will always take the day. So they employed some, horrible, uncomfortable tactics. And it didn't work, because at the end of the day, France won that match. And that's why they have the right to play the quarterfinals today against Atlas Lions of Morocco, who will be without Ismail Saibari. It was never a touch-and-go situation. He was always going to be absent. No miracle worker would have ensured that someone who left the match a few days ago with a non-contact hamstring injury was going to feature in the next match. This one came too soon for him, unfortunately. So Morocco will have to do without Ismail Saibari against France. The recent Bayern Munich signee is out with an injury, non-contact hamstring that he sustained against Canada. All right, so Morocco will have to start with probably Sofiane Rahimi. Depends on what the manager is thinking. Brahim Diaz will definitely start. They've got good guys. Ayoub Boab, who is 18 years old and much coveted by the best teams in the world, is always in midfield, marshalling it, doing very well, spraying passes, and playing the Makelele role, the fulcrum. He's there and doing quite well. And yeah, for Morocco, I think they are quite comfortable without Ismail Saibari, even though he's been their best player thus far in the tournament. The guy who scored a brace, sorry, against Canada, Azzedine Ounahi, will be there, of course, will be on hand to provide the needed support for Sofiane Rahimi, Brahim Diaz, and others to stake a claim for a semi-final berth. Let's see how it goes. For France, France will always be France. They have their full repertoire of attacking players. They've got Ousmane Dembele, Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise, of course. They've got Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola. They've got Akileush on the bench. They've got Marcus Thuram, who can hardly get a minute in this World Cup. They've got Jean-Philippe Mateta, who plays the straight in England for Crystal Palace. So they've got very, very good guys who can turn the game on its head. In midfield, N'Golo Kante can't even get a game. That's how competitive, highly competitive the midfield is. The Adrien Rabiot is a frequent presence there. We've also got Manu Kone, who is adding to his rising stock, continuously rising stock. And in defense, they've got Upamecano, Saliba, Konate, the spoiled for choice, right? They've got Jules Koundé, they've got the Hernandez brothers, Theo and Lucas. And in the goalkeeping department, they've got it all covered with Mike Mignon, who is looking to leave AC Milan as soon as the World Cup is over. France will want to do one better than the final appearance of the 2002 World Cup, where they lost to Argentina. Oh, it was unfortunate for them because they did quite well. Didier Deschamps, of course, is said to be the winningest manager standing alone in World Cup history. Right now, he's on par with Helmut Schul, the West Germany legend, who had 16 wins from 25 World Cup games. Deschamps couldn't make it for the Norway-France game because he had to be away in France or back in France for the funeral of his mother. But afterwards, the round of 16, he was there. The round of 32, he was there, of course. The round of 16, he was there. Okay, so he's the winningest manager right now in World Cup history, hoping to add one to that collection already. Record maker, record breaker. Of course, we also know that Didier Deschamps is one of only 3 human beings to win the World Cup as a player and as a manager. The others are dead now, Franz Beckenbauer and Mario Zagallo. And he's only one of 2 alongside Franz Beckenbauer and himself. So alongside Franz Beckenbauer, only one of 2 to win it as a player, captain, and manager. And he's reached 2 World Cup finals in a row. We'll be hoping to make it 3. Some countries have done that before. Brazil did that in 94, 98, and 2002, winning 94 on penalties against Roberto Baggio's Italy. In 98, they lost out to Zinedine Zidane's France. M. Jacquet was the manager of France then. In 2002, they did it in spectacular fashion, winning all their games under the great Luis Felipe Scolari. And Ronaldo emerged top scorer after a 2-year injury layoff. And they defeated Germany in the final. Oliver Kahn actually helped them. But yeah, that's it. So for Brazil, they've done it. West Germany have also done it, 82, 86, 90. So they've been precedents. There have been countries who have done it before. But this is going to be a modern record for the French players, especially their coach, Didier Deschamps, who has been there all through. Kylian Mbappe was a teenager in 2018, scored 4 goals, scored 8. And 2022 has scored 7 so far. Alongside Messi, they have highest goal contributions at this World Cup. Messi scored his 8th goal against Algeria. That beautiful equalizer, marred by controversy, whatever it is. But yeah, he scored a goal, and a very good goal. And he also became the first player in the history of the World Cup to miss 2 penalties in a tournament, and the only player ever to miss 4 penalties in World Cup play. All right, so there are positives and there are negatives, no matter how great you are. All right, so that's for France. Morocco, of course, the prediction will always weigh heavily on the part of France, because it's obvious that they are extremely good, and they've got world-class players. The current best player in the world is there. Not even their best player, right? He's the best player in the world, but not the best player in the team. So he plays second fiddle to Kylian Mbappe. Pretty much everyone will play second fiddle to Kylian Mbappe. All right. So Belgium, they have it all to do. Who knows what they can do against Spain, the Belgian national team. They've actually astonished everybody at getting to this point. They were going to leave. They had the slippery first 2 games. Afterwards, they were firing on all cylinders. Romelu Lukaku Bolingoli is coming from the bench and scoring goals for fun. And Belgium, even without their key players doing well, they've got some guys who are deputizing well. Lucas Stagner is doing well. Of course, they've got Charles de Ketelaere, who scored 2 goals against the US. Couldn't score in his first 3 or 4 games. And now he's hit top form, scored 2, made 1. And Van Aken is there as well. Of course, we've talked about their record scorer, and probably the best Belgian player in history, Romelu Lukaku Bolingoli. Some people argue and say Kevin De Bruyne, but in terms of what they have done for Belgium, not what they have done in football in general, what they've done for Belgium, Romelu Lukaku, for me, is the best Belgian player in history. Nobody scores 93, 94 international goals, second only to Cristiano Ronaldo in Europe, and he's not there as a standalone player. Of course, he sits well atop everyone else. So that's for Belgium. The Red Devils will be looking to do very well against La Roja, led by Luis de la Fuente. Spain, they've got very, very good players. Lamine Yamal has been granting interviews left, right, and center. It's just a quarterfinal, but yes, Lamine is the star of the team, so to speak, on paper, because in this tournament, Mikel Oyarzabal has been the star. Well, but Lamine gets all the plaudits, right? Yeah, so it's like monkey they walk babu the chop kind of situation. But yeah, well, whether or whether Lamine Yamal has earned every plaudit he's getting, because he's doing very well for Barcelona and contributing his quota for Spain. So no matter how small the quota is, it's a contribution. And yeah, he's the face of the team. And he was interviewed talking about Julian Alvarez being a good addition to Barcelona and all that. Talking about Barcelona, they are very interested in recruiting Nigerian-born German player, German player who's got Nigerian roots, Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund. Karim definitely has said yes to the Barcelona offer. Barcelona now talking to BVB. So at this point, it's club to club discussions, because Karim has said yes to Barcelona. So it now increases that hovering. Well, it's a particularly disturbing discussion concerning Marcus Rashford. Karim is a wing forward or a winger, and that's what Marcus is as well. So they overlooked Rashford, bypassed Rashford, went to get Aaron Gordon from Newcastle for 80 million. Now they are looking past him again. Of course, they've looked past him. He's back at Manchester United, even though not officially he's at the World Cup. But immediately after the World Cup, he's going to reunite with Michael Carrick and whoever else wants him back, right? So we're looking at now Barcelona heavily interested in Karim Adeyemi. They had that look that they didn't have the money to spend on Marcus, who was available for 30 million. He's only 28 years old, only 29 until October. So it wasn't about age, just that they didn't want Marcus after a 30-goal season, right? 30 goals and assists last season for Barcelona. Apparently, it wasn't enough. So they're looking at other players, and they are very interested in getting Julian Alvarez. He won't cost less than 150 million euros after spending 80 on Aaron Gordon. So you do the maths and make your conclusions. But for me, my own is just to give you the stats. Numbers don't lie, right? And these are clear figures, and the analysis is spot on. Well, being modest, but yeah, the analysis is always spot on. So that's it for before we veer to Barcelona and all that. We're talking about Belgium and Spain. Spain, of course, Mikel Oyarzabal, who is the star of the show thus far, has said that Barcelona, a lot of people have said no to Barcelona, and he's not wrong. There are a few players that come to mind, but no need to start stuck the fives. All right. So Barcelona doing very well, trying to get players, but for Spain, they're looking at getting one over Belgium. They're doing well. They eliminated Portugal in the round of 16. Mikel Merino, the Arsenal player, of course, came up with the goods just after regulation time. I think the first minute of extra time, and that's all they needed to put Portugal out of the tournament. So yeah, for Spain, they play Belgium. England will definitely have it all to do against Erling Haaland and Norway. It's pretty much Erling Haaland scored a brace to send Brazil packing, and we can't look past Erling Haaland. The likes of Odegaard doing well, Patrick Berg, of course, Antonio, they're doing well. Alexander Salah is doing well as well. Oscar Bob, they've got Manuel Akanji in defense. So they've that's Switzerland. For The likes of Norway, they've got very good players who are showing their presence. And for Switzerland, just to mention, Gregor Kobel had that explosive performance in the whole match and stood well against Colombia in the penalty shootout and deservedly got the man of the match award. So Alkanji is the one doing everything for Switzerland. And Spain, like we said, they've got very, very good players. And that match against Belgium, it remains to be seen what will happen. But people definitely predict Spain to win because they've got the pedigree. They've won a World Cup before, so they know how to win the World Cup. That was under Vicente Del Bosque after he replaced Luis Aragonés as the coach of La Roja. So yeah, Spain, even though they didn't come with some players that were expected to be there, it's always the prerogative of the coach. De La Fuentes opted for the other defenders aside Dean Hudson, who is doing very well at Real Madrid, had an underwhelming season. That's not in doubt. So Marco Cucurella, who recently got signed by Real Madrid and will be Dean Hudson's teammate, had 2 assists. At some point, we're going to be looking at players who are doing the more than they should. Individual performances matter, especially when it carries your team beyond the brink and gets them the results that they deserve. So that's all for the quarterfinals. England, Norway, Argentina, Switzerland, France, Morocco. There's one more quarterfinal, and that is going to be an explosive one. And we'll find time to do the preview. Let's go straight to Wimbledon. Wimbledon has been has been quite so many surprising results because for the first time they've had 4 semi-finalists in women's singles that never reached the semi-final before. So 4 first-time semi-finalists at Wimbledon for the first time, and today they will square up. They'll find out who gets to the final of Wimbledon. Wimbledon will have a first-time female champion. Coco Gauff is there, Linda Noskova is there, Caroline Muchova is there, and Marta Kostyuk, who also got to the semi-final of the French Open, is doing very well. For the men's semi-final, Alexander Zverev got one over Taylor Fritz in the quarterfinals after losing 7 times prior against Fritz, 7 straight times, and the world number 3 will leapfrog Carlos Alcaraz and the ATP rankings and become the new world number 2 if he gets to the final of Wimbledon. And the person in front of that, the person that messed up that, is the wild card from Britain, Arthur Ferry. First ever tall level semi-final happening at SW19. Let's see if he can defeat Alexander Zverev to give Britain hope of winning another Wimbledon after Andy Murray's heroics. So for Alexander Zverev, he told Taylor Fritz, "You can't beat me 8 times in a row." We remember Vitas Gerulaitis, the Lithuanian lion who Jimmy Connors beat 16 times in a row, and at the 17th time of asking, Vitas Gerulaitis got one over Jimmy Connors, and that came that favorite quote: "You don't beat Vitas Gerulaitis 17 times in a row." So yeah, that's Alexander Zverev did something of similar mode, got one over Taylor Fritz in straight sets, and is now in the semi-final of Wimbledon. That's 12 consecutive Grand Slam wins after winning Roland Garros and getting to the semi-final of Wimbledon. The great Novak Djokovic, 39 years old, still going strong. Longest ever match, longest ever quarterfinal at Wimbledon, got one over Fergie Auger-Aliassime. The Canadian took him to 5 sets, tried to wear him down, but you do not wear Novak Djokovic down. He does that to you. And shockingly, in that tiebreak, that deciding set tiebreak, he had 0 unforced errors. So when he raises his level, only very few players can match it. We saw what he did to Yannick Sinner at the Australian Open semi-finals. They play a game in the Australian Open semi-finals. Yannick versus Novak. Yannick leads the head-to-head 6-5, but Novak won their latest meeting at the Australian Open prior to this semi-final matchup. So it is Novak versus Yannick, and it is Alexander Zverev versus Arthur Ferry. So many players are looking forward to what's going to happen because Novak is aiming for a 25th Grand Slam, and I don't think he will stop there. He wants that gap between him and Rafael Nadal to keep getting bigger. But let's see if Yannick Sinner will say, no, I'm getting to the final again, or Novak has something up his sleeve. We remember that strategy he used at the Australian Open final, and Yannick had no answer to it. Let's see what's going to happen in this semi-final matchup. Alexander Zverev, the German, is doing very well. On paper, Arthur Ferry stands no chance, but based on what Arthur Ferry has done, trashing Flavio Cobolli like that yesterday, we cannot put anything past him. Impossible is nothing in sport. Anybody can get one over you. It's as easy as that. Well, not so easy the way I'm saying it, but yeah, when you are determined and you are reinvigorated, you are motivated, and you have the support of your home crowd, there is nothing you cannot achieve. All right, so for the Wimbledon women's singles semi-final, let us look at how they match up and what they bring to the table. We know that Coco Gauff is a two-time Grand Slam champion. There's no denying that fact, and this is the first time she is getting to the semi-final of Wimbledon, so she'll be looking to do very, very well in this tournament, probably winning it. Who says she cannot win it? All right, so for today, Caroline Muchova, who has a losing record against Coco Gauff, will be playing the American in the first semi-final, which is at 1:30 Nigerian time. All right, she won their last match, even though she's lost 5 against Coco Gauff, so that head-to-head is 1-5 in favor of Coco Gauff. All right, Marta Kostyuk will be playing against Linda Noskova in the other semi-final. 2 Czech Republicans are in the semi-finals of Wimbledon. We have had great Czech players in the past. Martina Navratilova, one of the greatest, who later became an American, of course, naturalized. And we've had Jana Novotná as well. So there are so many good Czech players. Even for the men, we've had Thomas Berdych and very recently Jakub Mensik. So let us see what Czech players are. Barbara Krejcikova has won 2 Grand Slam singles tournaments. She's also from Czech Republic. So let us see how that goes. We said it before, Caroline Muchova will be playing against Coco Gauff, 1:30 Nigerian time, and that will follow immediately. Everything is happening on center court. Let's not forget that they are chasing the Venus Rosewater dish. That is what you get when you become the Wimbledon women's singles champion. So Marta Kostyuk at 2:40 Nigerian time, if this Coco Gauff and Linda Noskova match doesn't prolong beyond the scheduled time, will be playing against Linda Noskova. So if Caroline Muchova quickly gets it done against Coco Gauff, or it goes the other way around, we'll be seeing Marta Kostyuk and Linda Noskova following suit. All right, so for the men's singles, we said it before, but let us reiterate, let us repeat it. Arthur Ferry will be playing against Alexander Zverev, and Yannick Sinner will be playing against Novak Djokovic, and that's tomorrow. We know every time that the Wimbledon semi-final happens on Friday. In fact, all Grand Slam semi-finals happen on Friday, really. So Sunday is the final. Whoever gets to the final, congratulations. Whoever wins it, congratulations as well. We'll go straight to transfers. So many transfer news. Alvaro Arbeloa, since leaving Real Madrid, has been heavily courted by Fulham to replace Marco Silva, who went to replace Jose Mourinho at Benfica. So are you seeing the transfer merry-go-round, the managerial replacements? Alvaro Arbeloa replaced Marco Silva at Fulham. Marco Silva replaced Jose Mourinho at Benfica. And Jose Mourinho, who is at Real Madrid, is the manager because Alvaro Arbeloa left Real Madrid. Well, his contract wasn't terminated. He was caretaker manager after Xabi Alonso, who is now at Chelsea, left the club. All right. So for transfer news, a lot going on. A lot going on. Newcastle still preparing the opening official bid for Switzerland's gem Johan Manzambi, who did not feature against Colombia. And that initial bid is going to be prepared and will be sent soon. All right. So Xabi Alonso has arrived at Cobham for the first time as the new Chelsea manager. Let's not forget, despite that relatively failed stint at Real Madrid, he did exceptionally and exceedingly well at Bayer Leverkusen. So at Bayer Arena, he's not going to be forgotten. The likes of Victor Boniface, Patrick Schick, Alejandro Grimaldo, Jeremy Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, and co. Nathan Teller and others will not forget him in a hurry. All right, incredible run at Bayer Leverkusen, unbeaten Bundesliga season, which led to them being crowned champions ahead of everyone else, including Bayern Munich. And they also won the Europa League, or they also reached the final of the Europa League, where they lost to Atalanta and Ademola Lookman, who scored a hat-trick in that encounter. Nottingham Forest submitted a 17.5 million official bid for Feyenoord for right back Yvairo Reid. Let us see how that goes. Don't forget that Nottingham Forest have appointed Oliver Glasner as their new manager after he failed to get the AC Milan job. AC Milan actually preferred Ruben Amorim, who has started there yesterday and admitted that he made some mistakes at Manchester United and apologized to the fans. So this is for people who were carelessly and blindly defending the tactics of Ruben Amorim at Manchester United. He has apologized for making some mistakes there. Of course, the mistakes were obvious to those who are discerning. All right. So Fiorentina have agreed a deal with Udinese to sign Arthur Afar. All right. So 30 million euros will change or exchange hands. All right. So with Fiorentina affectionately called the Viola, and they've got David De Gea, former Manchester United goalkeeper, and of course a legend in their ranks. All right. Juventus have made initial contract proposal to Dibu Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina, as well as Aston Villa. All right, so let us see how that goes for Juve. And Mikel Merino has also said that he's happy at Arsenal, and let's see what happens in the coming days. A lot of people claim to be happy, but they are unhappy, right? So probably they just want to confuse themselves, not us. Because I remember Marc Cucurella saying he was happy, and 2 days after he signed for Real, you were happy at Chelsea, and in less than 48 hours, you were signing for Real Madrid. So I think footballers are Confucianists, but let's not dwell on that. All right. So Bruno Guimaraes, that deal driven by Mikel Arteta is going to be complicated because Newcastle have insisted that Bruno Guimaraes, who missed that important penalty against Norway, that will always hang over his head. Roberto Baggio won the World Footballer of the Year awards in 1993, and the very next year he missed an important penalty for Italy against Brazil in the World Cup final, and that hangs over his head till today. Because Roberto Baggio is a legend, world class, blah blah blah. But so that tainted his legend a bit, whether we like it or not. So Bruno Guimaraes, courted by Arsenal, very interested in signing him. Newcastle have said no. Let's see how that goes, because Newcastle, they have that stance that they are not going to allow Bruno Guimaraes leave the Tyneside for the Emirates or North London. All right, Real Betis have included a 50 million release clause into Frank Garcia's contract. Frank Garcia has left Real Madrid to Real Betis, so he's now in Andalusia, having left Madrid. And after signing him for about 4 or 5 million euros, they've included a 50 million euros release clause. That's for anybody who is interested. If you are interested today, even though they signed him yesterday or the day before, if you pay 50 million, you can get Frank Garcia. But is he worth it? It remains to be seen. Napoli have agreed personal terms with Ezekiel Zeballos as potential signing for the summer. Club to club, still yet to be agreed. But for Ezekiel Zeballos, he has agreed personal terms with Napoli. He wants to play in Naples with Scott McTominay, Kevin De Bruyne, and of course Massimiliano Allegri, who is now the new coach of Napoli, replacing Antonio Conte. All right, we talked about Karim Adeyemi earlier. He will not sign a new contract at Borussia Dortmund, and he's only waiting for club-to-club agreement in order to join Barcelona, the club of his dreams. You know, these players, when they want to join some big clubs, they start telling some awkward stories about how they have followed the club from when they were 2 years old and what have you. But we know the truth, right? It's just for optics. All right, so Martin Hillman will be going to Atletico Madrid. Sporting and Atleti have agreed, and Hillman, very good player, will be signing for Atletico Madrid for 40 million euros. That's huge. So the Danish midfielder joins until June 2031, and he will fly to Madrid today. All right, so yeah. Afterwards, Lamine Yamal and all of that. So, yeah, let's not forget that. Okay, Karim, yeah, everything about Karim. Manchester United were interested in Aurelien Tchouameni for a very long time. Well, unfortunately, that door is closed because he signed a new contract at Real Madrid until 2031. That was approved by the great Jose Mourinho, the special one. So Manchester United should look at other midfield options. They have looked at one, Andre Santos. Deal agreed with Chelsea, 50 million, and he's going to Manchester United, subject to a medical. He'll be having his medicals done today, and the Ederson contract is still on hold. Let's see what happens within the next 24 to 48 hours. Manchester United wants some things taken care of. They want some assurances, which hopefully Atalanta will give, because it was pretty much agreed even before the World Cup that Ederson is a Manchester United player subject to a medical. All right, two Arsenal players, let's not forget, are on the brink of suspension if England get past Norway. So if Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, alongside Jude Bellingham, who is playing for Madrid, get a yellow card, they will be suspended for the semi-final if England defeat Norway in the quarterfinal. So Ederson's second part of medical will take place this week in England. Manchester United want guarantees before signing of the deal with Atalanta. That's what I said earlier. Randal Kolo Muani, who has been somewhat of a journeyman over the last 2 or 3 years, is insistent on joining Juventus. Even though he has played there, he has tried his best. He had to also be loaned to Tottenham from PSG. But PSG trying to offload players. Lee has joined Atletico Madrid. Goncalo Ramos is all but ready to join AC Milan. Of course, he should be ready because he has been eliminated from the World Cup alongside Portugal. So PSG looking to bring in Akilouche, who is on the bench for France, as well as some other players. Yan Diomande from RB Leipzig. All right, so Aurelien Tchouameni, like we said, has signed a new deal there. Anan Lally of USG is signing for Inter. Mason Greenwood, the Manchester United bad boy, we know what he did, what they said he did, how they cannot forgive him, how what he did is unforgivable. You know, the heavily morally sanctimonious people in England, the English fans, how they said he did this and he did that, even though the person they said he did it to is currently his wife, how they are crying more than the bereaved, how they have been extremely, well, over emotional. Mason has done very well at Marseille over the last 2 seasons, first under Roberto De Zerbi and And that's other people. He has done very well at Leo, doing quite well there. So Fenerbahce heavily interested in want to pay 40 million euros to get him to Turkey. He's agreed personal terms. Manchester United will get some money, of course, so a sell-on clause and all that. But yeah, Mason Greenwood all but ready to sign for Paris Saint-Germain. Oscar Mingueza has agreed to join Crystal Palace from Celta Vigo. All right, he's a defender, and that deal has been agreed. And CPFC will be ready to accept him with open arms. CPFC doing very well in the transfer market. So that's for transfers. Andre Santos at Manchester United. A lot of people have okayed the signing, and for 50 million, some people are likening him to this player or that player. But I will say that they are speaking too soon. Let us see what happens when he signs and when he actually plays for Manchester United. A lot of players have flopped at Manchester United. I'm talking about world-class guys. Angel Di Maria came to Manchester United and flopped. Radamel Falcao, the Tiger of Santa Fe, well, injury worries and all that, but he flopped, right? So some of these guys came to Manchester United and flopped, unfortunately. So let's see how Andre Santos can. Let's see what he brings that will be different from what others could have brought. Matheus Fernandes, of course, couldn't be signed because he was too pricey, and Tottenham jumped ahead of us in the queue and got him for 85 million, just like they got Sandro Tonali from Newcastle. So it's about the matter of money, as they say. Now cash now be the issue, and that's what Tottenham are doing. They're splashing the cash and getting players according to their needs, and that's it. You put your money where your mouth is, and that's what Tottenham Hotspur currently doing. So other things, other sporting news will definitely come your way in the coming days. So many things to talk about. The World Cup is getting spicier, getting hotter. So many good things are happening. So many controversial issues as well. Talked about Argentina, Egypt, the fallout of that. Hassan, of course, bearing his mind. Nobody's going to prevent him from doing that. And he has said he's beat. And the other players, even Mustafa Zico, named after the great Zico, also said he's beat as well. So many people are angered by the second goal being chalked off, because if not, Egypt will have probably led 3-0. Let's not forget that Argentina's comeback was spearheaded by a Messi assist to Christian Romero, who plays it straight at Tottenham Hotspur. And that second goal was scored by the great man himself, Leo Messi. And the winner was scored by Enzo Fernandez of Chelsea, making him the first Chelsea player to score in this tournament, if I am not mistaken. And that assist was credited to Inter's Lautaro Martinez. All right, so that's all we can take on Sports Grandeur on OJ 106.3 FM Benin. My name is Ohise Boreme. I'm a lot better now after dishing out what I have just done. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to tune in to France Morocco, which will be occurring at 9 p.m. Nigerian time. Don't miss it, because our only African representatives are actually playing tonight. The African representatives left at the World Cup. Thanks so much. Signing out. Cheers.